Hello, this is Joanne from Perilios Fight. This video I'm going to be talking to young adults, and my intention is to help them by giving them some knowledge that wasn't given to me when I was a young adult, and that I feel that I wish it was. Um, there's a few important things out here in the real world that sometimes just doesn't get to the students in school. School is very good for the basics that we need to learn, but as far as the real world financial education, it's just not in the schools. So that's the sad truth. But there are some people that have made it, and they have shared their knowledge. And unfortunately, it's being born and raised in Canada. There hasn't been enough Canadians that have shared that knowledge. So when I was in search of the knowledge of successful people, I um, I I found that most of the people that shared the knowledge that have made it were American and happened to be American men. Susie Orman definitely taught me a lot about the basics of financial knowledge, as did Robert Kiyosaki. So I would recommend some reading material. Susie Orman had a book she wrote a couple of years back. It was called Young, Fabulous, and Broke, and it's a definite must-read. As is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, one of the most successful selling books on success. Um, and and Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's Robert Kiyosaki wrote that book, but he has different. Uh, that's the brand, but he has different books. So there's Rich Dad Poor Dad for teens. There's Rich Dad Poor Dad for kids, and they're must reads. Every parent should get their kids those two books for kids and for teens. Um, you need to learn about your credit and the importance of it, because the ones that make it, they often forget about the people that haven't, and they make it extremely tough for people to find their happiness. To be able to afford a home in Canada is very, very difficult these days. It's very expensive. Um, so, and add that to the weather. So, any young person should really consider uh, trying to get to the States. I would say the States is still the best country in the world. This 2012, and I think that your opportunities are going to be a lot better in the U.S. And all the time maintaining your citizenship in Canada, of course. Um, but So learn about your credit and your credit score through you can go to Equifax.com and TransUnion, and they have some knowledge on their websites. Those are the two credit bureaus. When you get credit, the companies will report to those companies if you pay your bills or if you're late, which is not good, right? Um, so that when you go for a loan or a line of credit, when you want to buy a house, for example, you need a mortgage, and that's the contract between you and the bank. So you'll have to come up with a down payment. You go find a house. You can get qualified first, but you go to look for a house, and then you have to have a good credit score. You have to have a means, a way to pay for the property, and then the bank will look at that and possibly give you a mortgage. That's the rest of the money you need to acquire that property. So your credit is extremely important. It's easier to get things done if you're somebody who's having difficulty in the U.S. The U.S. is still a country that has secondary markets that they just get things done because they understand people make mistakes and situations come up, and Canada is not so forgiving. So learn about your credit. It's very, very important, and because you're going to get a credit score. Don't co-sign for anybody. Protect your credit. Um, watch out for identity theft, and learn about mortgages. Learn about real estate because one of the fastest way a person could increase their net worth is to acquire undervalued real estate. That means you buy a property that's for a price that's less than it's worth because there's some problems in there's a situation where there's problems. Maybe there's a divorce and they need to sell, or somebody won the lottery and they just want to get rid of the house that they have. Uh, they need to relocate for a job. So those are some things that young people should know because young people should have goals. They should always strive to have a place that they could call home, a beautiful place that they're proud of, that they can grow, that they can, if they want to get a pool table, if they want to get, a swimming pool in the yard, if they want to have a place in the sun, they should have, you know, a place to call home that's safe and quiet and peaceful and somewhere that they can, cook themselves some good meals and turn on the tunes and just relax. They can rescue an animal and just have a nice home for themselves. People think in pictures, so getting young people to have visuals is important. I think it's worked with my kids. My daughter is a couple of weeks away from graduating college. She's going to be a clinical massage therapist. And if any of you young people are interested in that course, she took it in Vancouver, and it's a 27th a month course. It was a private college. It was 30 grand, and you can get student loans for it. But it's very, 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 very hard course. It's so um, she's gonna make good money afterwards. I think there's 7 semesters. I think there's 7. Um, but you can Google the schools if that's something that interests you. You know, there's money in that because she can open up. Going forward, people really need to consider having uh, some knowledge on how to start their own business at some point, because it's very difficult. Even high-paying jobs are taxed so high, particularly in Canada, but not just Canada, that it's difficult to get the things that you want, even with a high-paying job, because the taxes are so high. These politicians want taxes, right? The government wants, pardon me, the government. Let me rephrase that. The government wants taxpayers, so that's why they're going to do everything they can um, to say these are the jobs to get. You know the the doctors and the accountants and stuff, and they're going to do everything to keep these guys as busy as making them money by being taxpayers. So it's difficult for these guys to find the time to start their own business because they're always having to do this course and that course and this course and that course, and so. But there's other things that you know you can portfolio managers, hedge fund managers. They make off the chart money. Um, Starting a well, to become a hedge fund manager, um, you can contact a hedge fund company and see if they'll hire you and do some training, and let you know what the securities course you need to take. Before you do anything like that, you want to even get in touch with the SEC. That's the Securities Exchange Commission, and make sure that everything is legit with whoever you're deciding to go to work for. Because SEC is a very powerful entity, government entity that um, you you don't want to get on the wrong side of them. You want to make sure you do everything on the up and up, especially if you're managing people's money. You gotta know what you're doing. Um, but listen to the people that have, like Robert Kiyosaki, Mike Maloney, um, Napoleon Hill, Henry Ford. Listen to the knowledge that's out there from the people that have made it and that are going to give you some real world knowledge. Starting a company is not as difficult as some young people may think. You can go to your local um, I'm trying to think of the word. Um, I can't think of the word. I've been there many times. It's just a place in your community that you go and register a company, and then you get a business license, which is usually only a couple $100. And you do a name search. You pick 3 names, and you can do a name search. When you're choosing a name of your company, try to pick a name that people understand and know right off the bat what it is you're selling, because there's so much competition and everything, uh, that you're going to be spending a lot of marketing dollars just trying to explain what it is your company does, if the name itself is not explaining that. Tightwadmarketing.com is a free website you can go on, and they give very, very good advice. I've made a lot of money in the past using some of his suggestions. Um, other business ideas, you could start a non-profit, you can start a driving school. There's always people that are going to need to learn how to drive. Pardon me. Hedge fund manager, bankers make good money. An important thing to do is, if you have a dream, if you know with inside you that you have, your if I asked you the question, uh, what do you think God put you on this earth for? And if you say, well, I think that I'm supposed to, and you finish that sentence, if it's, be an athlete, a doctor, if it's start a non-profit to help, rescue the animals that are being harmed, excuse me, then I think that's a very important responsibility that has to come before everything else. Like your dream, you should just go for that and know that people are going to try to discourage you, and that's just how it works out here in the real world. In the real world, if you watch the movie The Wizard of Oz, you see all the witches coming after. Just everything's coming after this girl, trying to get to where she wants to be, and that's how it works in life. When somebody wants to make a move to go for their dream, you're gonna see, and sometimes it's very subtle. Sometimes it could be somebody you're in a relationship, could be your parents that are discouraging them, and I think their intentions might be good in their mind, but they don't understand it's a different world, and getting a job that pays $16 an hour isn't gonna cut it in this world. That's the truth. If you run the numbers on anything, if you run the numbers on what it's going to take to have a home, to have a car, clothes, food, shelter, just all the expenses, you should understand what the numbers are telling you, and you should know what kind of life you want to live. And you should know the money law. The money law is the law of exchange. You exchange a product or a service in exchange for money. It's as simple as that. So, but you can Google how to become a hedge fund manager, a money manager, a banker, the dream that you have, starting a driving school. I mean, driving schools. I've owned a driving school, and I was in the business for 12 years. Um, so it's definitely something that, it's not a long course, but you have to know how to run a business, and you have to care about your customers. You have to take care of them, and you have to, get help. ask for help. But first thing you need is knowledge. Okay, thank you very much.